Well, hi there, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Star Trek Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time for the main viewer. We're going to tell you all of the major news around the globe and the universe right now. It just so happens to all be Star Trek related, but that's just a coincidence. What's in the news, by the way? Okay, so we've got the big WGA writers' strike that started today. That is big news. We'll discuss how this affects Star Trek shows and movies. And movies. There's a key there. Also, which Star Trek productions will not be affected. That's also important to note. We've got the Star Trek Legacy petition that has surpassed the petition for Captain Pike. The one from, what was it, back in 2019. And that one worked out. So let's see if this one also works out. How much further does it need to go to make Legacy a reality? Is it even possible, or are we wasting our time, Anne-Marie?
Well,
I know.
There's another big thing in the news, which is it's ZZTH's birthday.
Yay!
Happy birthday.
Yes.
I suggest we sing, except it's always awful on Zoom.
No.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
That is the biggest news.
In the news, we've got a Doctor Who showrunner that praises Star Trek Picard. Like that matters. Did anybody watch Doctor Who? I don't know.
But there's also
we've got virtual Star Trek Bridge exhibits from Roddenberry Entertainment and OTOY. What's OTOY? I don't know. Patrick Stewart's memoir will be available in October. We've got the 10 most powerful women in Star Trek. We've got the Cisco Day in less than 3 weeks. The Cisco Day is in less than 3 weeks, everybody. It's going to be the biggest day of the year. It's on May 22nd. That's a Monday, May 22nd. Stay tuned for more news on that. Lots to talk about, everybody. Hey, we have a very special guest today. Her name is Nikki Rapace, and she is a member of Lambda Quadrant. What's up, Nikki?
Hi. I have to tell you, when you were like saying, all the news around the world, I was like, oh man, this is a lot. I don't know if I'm going to live up to this. Okay, I'll try. But I'm glad that it's Trek news. I can go there. I can go with the Trek news. Even though I don't know all of it, I know some of it,
Well,
I was trying to look up OTOY for you.
Can you tell everybody very quickly what Lambda Quadrant's all about, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lambda Quadrant is an LGBTQ fan group, and we started around 2019, and it has helped. It actually helped in a weird way that there was a pandemic, because we were able to do a lot of the live streaming. And basically what we do is we discuss queer topics within Trek. We talk about queer topics in general. And we try to kind of create a safe space for everyone to come and be a part of. So you do not have to be queer in order to participate in any of the things that we do. And in fact, we actually encourage in some of our panel discussions, and whether it's live in person or it's live streaming, that we really encourage questions, right? Like, we are not, professionals by any means. We're just giving you our opinion and our standpoint as queer people and as queer Trekkies. But it's always a joy when we provide that space, and we have, parents that come up and say, hey, my kid is talking to me about they think they're trans, or they think they're queer. What should I do? How do I support them? Or somebody has come up to us after certain events and said, a family member just came out to me. How can I support them? Things like that. So it's definitely one of those things that we try to kind of, like I said, provide that safe space for people to ask questions. Because I know sometimes it's like they have the best intention, but they don't want to misstep. And so it's like, come ask us your question, right? There's no dumb question. There's no anything like that. And the only way that we're actually going to be able to bridge the gap a lot between people that may be of a more conservative viewpoint to a more liberal viewpoint is to actually have those conversations and those discussions. And so that's one of the things that we like to do. We were just recently at the Star Trek cruise, and we were able to provide one of the community sessions for the community rooms, which was a lot of fun. We will be at Star Trek Las Vegas in August. We will have a table there. Come say hi. We're hoping to have some queer programming, but we just love to hang out with people, and we love meeting people and answering questions if you have questions. So that's
Awesome.
That's what I got so far.
Well, we love having you here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I did notice a couple quick things in your background. You've got Star Trek Legacy,
I do.
and
Hashtag Star Trek Legacy.
Lambda Quadrant, but
And
you also
then-
have the Beverly Crusher mug that I also
Oh, yeah.
have.
Yes.
Correctly,
Right?
yes.
I've got that.
Yes.
Oh
mug.
yeah, so that was actually purchased. That is actually from Gates McFadden's personal collection herself. So when she was the creative director of Ensemble Studio Theater here in Los Angeles, she was selling off a lot of her Star Trek merch to do fundraising. And that was one of the things that I bought during her trunk sale, which has been fun because it's actually signed and I have drank out of it, which is pretty funny.
Nice.
She is continuing because if you don't follow me on Twitter, which if you do, you know I am an I Stand Beverly Crusher Twitter account now. But Gates McFadden is actually continuing to sell a lot of her personal Star Trek merchant, like things that she had on set, merchandise that she had. So check it out, gatesmcfadden.com. The store is on there. So definitely you can get stuff like the mug. Yay. And then we're going to talk about, go back. I can't, it's like reverse. The rainbow Horgon that's right there.
Oh my God, I have one of those. My favorite.
Yeah, there it is, that little guy.
Yeah, the little guy. We have those. That's a Lambda Quadrant item that always comes to conventions that we will sell at our table, and we will have them at Star Trek Las Vegas. All of our merch or a majority of it is 3D printed, and our member Randy, he's the one who does a lot of the 3D printing.
He's really good.
Yeah, and so they're always a fun time. I mean, who doesn't want a little Jamaharon? And it's rainbow Jamaharon, so it's fun.
So pretty.
Well, on that note, Dr. Mohammed Noor is also here.
No, I'm not sure I understand that transition, but hello. Always happy to be on.
Great.
Special Trek Cons, the main viewer.
Very good. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel is here as well. So when Mohammed blushed, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel knows exactly why that is and what happened in his face.
Oh. Well, I was just seeing, we also have to say hi to John Lutton, who was just on the main viewer recently from To Proudly Go, and he says,
Yes, sir.
Nikki,
Good to see you,
Lambda
John.
Quadrant, hooray! Love
Yay!
you.
I love it.
Also, everybody, Melissa Longo is here. Looks like she's wearing a Lambda Quadrant purple shirt, too.
Yeah. Lambda Quadrant.
Melissa's actually one of our founding members, if you all didn't know that. She was there originally when we started. So thank you, Melissa. We adore you.
That's awesome.
We all adore Lisa.
I was wearing my Lambda Quadrant shirt last week.
And you were on
But I can't remember.
Table, I think.
Round table. Got it. Okay.
I think.
Speaking of shirts, I should mention this one too. This is a walking art made by Melissa shirt available on theintrovertedrepublic.com. That's where her art is. I don't know about this specific shirt, but there's other.
And here's a
art from-
Prodigy shirt. I don't know where you can get it, but I love it. And happy birthday to ZZTH, as Mohammed mentioned earlier. Let's talk about
Marie.
all of the news of the day. Oh, before we do that, what am I thinking? We've got to have a poll. Everybody at home, what do you want to start with? We've got a few options here. Do you want to start with let's see, the writer's strike and how it affects Star Trek? Do you want to start with the Star Trek Legacy petition, and if that's going to work out for us so that maybe we can have some Star Trek Legacy? We've also got the Star Trek Bridge exhibits. Do you want to start with that and talk? Boy, there's so much to say with regards to that one. And we've also got the Doctor Who something or other. The Doctor Who cares is what I like to say. Am I right?
Aw.
Ah.
All right. So we're putting that poll in right now. Actually, Nikki, I bet loves Doctor Who because I know you guys went to what's the Who
Gallifrey.
convention?
Gallifrey.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. I've only ever watched a few episodes of Doctor Who,
Really?
but I know. You would think it would be
Surprised.
one of those. I know. It's like one of those things that I need to get into. And I'm sure once I do, I'll be in it,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right.
And then any day now we have Babylon 5 news breaking, but it hasn't come out yet.
What is
So,
it?
we don't know. My guess is it's going to be about a documentary, but we don't know. We just keep getting vague tweets saying stay tuned. It's coming
From
within the next
Straczynski?
few weeks. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
And
exciting.
the last one was like a week ago. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Clear front runners on the poll there.
Yeah, which we could have predicted, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll check this out. Let's just get up in this. It looks like the winner is going to be, it is a close
It's really
one.
close.
But it looks like 0% of you want to start with Doctor Who. These guys get it. They're like, every time I tried to vote for it, there was a malfunction.
Derek.
3% of you wanted the Star Trek Bridge exhibits. 44% of you want the Star Trek Legacy petition. And 51% said, come on, how the writer's strike affects us. That's happening right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That makes
There's a lot
sense.
more to say on that one than the
It
others
is
too.
breaking news.
yeah, let's get up into that thing.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with an article from trekmovie.com. Mohammed, would you be a pal? All right, so here it comes, everybody. Here's the article from our friends over at trekmovie.com.
Do we get the title too? Or
Sure. It says how the writer's strike could impact
no, it's
Star
literally
Trek.
just that. I got it. All right. After prolonged negotiations didn't result in a new contract with AMPTP, that's the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, the Writers Guild of America declared a strike, putting to a halt any writing work for guild members. This will have a big impact in Hollywood and across the entertainment industry, and could also impact the Star Trek universe. So starting with WGA strike. And WGA, by the way, again, stands for
Make
the
this a
Writers
little
Guild of
bigger for
America.
you here.
What's that?
Just made it a little bigger.
Oh, thank you. The WGA has been seeking changes that include how production companies and studios pay out residuals from streaming. According to the WGA, changes in the industry have cut down pay for writers, especially with the move to streaming and fewer episodes. In a statement released this morning, the WGA referred to these changes as an, quote, existential crisis writers are facing, end quote, explaining, quote, we must now exert the maximum leverage possible to get a fair contract by withholding our labor, end quote. Picketing begins today with a schedule for locations in Los Angeles and New York posted by the Guild. They include Paramount Global, Paramount Pictures in Hollywood, and 2 CBS studio locations in Los Angeles. According to union rules, no WGA members are allowed to do any writing, including rewriting, or even negotiate for new writing during this strike. Some productions will immediately shut down, such as late-night talk shows. However, other productions can continue until using completed scripts. While other entertainment unions are voicing their solidarity with the WGA, all current contracts contain no strike clauses, so no other unions will be joining them. The Teamsters Union has advised members they can honor picket lines, which is protected under contract. The last WGA strike ran for 14 weeks between November 2007 and February 2008. The J.J. Abrams 2009 Star Trek movie was filmed on the Paramount lot in Hollywood during that strike, even as the studio was being picketed. A WGA strike in 1988 had a big impact on the second season of Star Trek The Next Generation, resulting in a shortened season and the often panned Shades of Grey Season 2 finale, one of Anne-Marie's favorites, being more of a clip show than a real episode.
Actually, on that note, very quickly, I cannot cite my sources, but multiple sources within the Star Trek writing industry have informed us that one of the shows, if the writer strike goes more than a few weeks, will do an entire season that is a sequel to Shades of Grey. So look, we can't say which, the writers from which show, but let's just say that it sounds a little something like Star Trek Picard. Buh.
That's what Star Trek Legacy will be. It'll be Shades of Grey Part 2.
God,
It's not
bless
April
America.
anymore.
Always April. Anyway,
That's
Anne-Marie
okay.
likes Shades of Grey
I
for
love
some
Shades of
reason.
Grey.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I don't even know how that's possible.
That's the best pop house ever.
It's one of the only acceptable for me anyway, one of the only acceptable episodes sort of kind of in the season that doesn't exist that I don't talk about because my girl isn't in it. So
Oh,
Ooh, yeah,
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's technically
So-
the season that doesn't
I'm
exist.
pretty
for
sure
me.
it's the lowest rated Star Trek of any Star Trek in IMDb.
Oh,
Better
really?
be.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm trying with that.
I think it's even lower than Code of Honor and stuff.
Two shortest seasons.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't swear to it, but I'm pretty sure. guys
Robert
can check.
Kaiser says it's always April somewhere.
April on Mars.
Maybe in Austria. They have that's metric system. That's this whole thing.
Yeah.
Look, so here's
Oh.
the key though. Let's continue on with this article because we're going to get into how this actually affects Star Trek. Some
Yeah.
people are interested in the WGA, the writers, all this stuff, but most people are just like, yeah. How does this affect my favorite show?
Yeah, let me
my
actually
favorite-
answer one quick question in the chat. Faith Howell was asking about how this affects like Aaron Waltke and folks like that. Again, the animated shows have a different guild. They're not part of this strike. So
It's
that's not-
TAG, I think.
Yeah,
TAG?
they did. They kind of went through a similar thing last year. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good to note. We're going to cover that a little bit later, but might as well just knock it out right now.
Yeah, just mention that.
Prodigy, Lower Decks, not affected by this because they are
Right.
not under that union.
Hmm.
So that already eliminates half of the issue there for us consumers. So here's where we go from here, right, Dr. Noor?
Star Trek set to weather the strike. So the strike just started, so it's still unknown how long it will last and how much of an impact it will have on the industry. This strike comes as no surprise to the studios, who have been planning around it and banking as many scripts as possible. While the 2023 slate of Star Trek shows expected on Paramount Plus won't be impacted, there could be an impact in the future, but it depends on the project. So first subtitle, little to no impact on animated shows. The WGA contract only applies to live action and feature films, so there should be no impact on the two animated Star Trek shows that we were just discussing. Writing for season 2 of Prodigy was completed in 2022, and writing for the 5th season of Lower Decks appears to still be underway. But both animated Star Trek shows fall under the Animation Guild, there you go, Ryan, TAG contract, which is still current. The 4th season of Lower Decks is already in post-production and is due this summer. Woo-hoo! The 2nd season of Prodigy will debut later this year with the first 10 episodes, the second batch of 10 likely arriving in 2024. Prodigy co-executive producer Aaron Waltke showed his solidarity with WGA writers while spelling out that Prodigy is covered under the TAG contract. So there's a tweet from him.
Yeah, well, actually, let's just get that tweet straight from the horse's McMouth. And that is right here on a website called twitter.com.
Oh,
I think we're on Aaron Waltke for a second.
Our good
Hey, there it
friend,
is.
Aaron Waltke, that's at Good Aaron. He says, our show is covered by the Animation Guild, but we went through this last year. Fair wages for profitable shows is always a reasonable ask. And he's got a graphic that says, I'm a tag writer. I stand with the WGA writers.
Mhm.
So that's cool. Good job. Yeah, I wish we had Aaron Waltke here to kind of get us through the ins and outs. But, if I were him and I was picketing all day, I'd probably right now be going out to dinner with all my writer buddies. So he's probably got better things to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, Shades of Grey was 3.3 on IMDb.
3.3.
Yeah.
That is way too high.
that's insane.
Are they joking? What did they watch?
Code of Honor was like a 5, if I remember right. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like a 5.1, I think.
5.1 is Code of Honor. Yeah.
See,
I
Amory,
know.
3.3. How
Well, I
can you
gave
like
it a
that
10.
episode? How? Why?
Well, it's because I told you. Also, like the two women are actually doing science and save the day. It's amazing. And they're talking to
point.
each other and it passes the Bechdel test. Actually,
They're
a really
talking
good
to each other
episode.
about another guy, though.
No, they're
About
not.
Riker,
a
who's
patient.
dying.
No,
Yeah,
it's a patient. You can talk about patients.
that doesn't pass
It's
the test
amazing.
then.
It's amazing. I love that episode.
Nikki, you're giggling. Am I wrong?
I'm staying out of this.
Nikki's like, I've got popcorn. I'm good. Popcorn.
Right, exactly. Yeah. How about let's go back to the writer's strike?
Well, I thought that
Switzerland.
test was if two women are not talking about a
About
guy.
men romantically.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
usually
specifically
romantic.
okay.
Yeah, it's usually
Patient.
romantically.
Mhm.
I think it's one of those great. Hey, it's one of those shades.
It's shades of gray.
Well done.
Wow.
Wow.
What
Well
luck.
done.
Nice.
All right.
I will
Well, let's-
say, for the writer's strike, going back to the writer's strike, as
Yeah.
I was, so I'm currently in my apartment in Los Angeles, but I was out and about earlier today, and as I was driving back for this, they were still out there. I saw them out in front of one of the studios, and they were striking, kind of like your picture, Ryan, behind you. Just, I didn't drive past Paramount.
Okay, everybody in the live chat, if you are on set, on a movie set or a TV set, and you hear the word striking,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Melissa, don't I know you know this.
Oh, I know
answer.
the answer to this.
Yeah,
I know the answer to this.
Everybody in the live chat, let us know if you're on set and you hear somebody say striking, what
I will say
does that
theater
mean?
people will know the answer to this as well.
Mhm.
So
Amory's like, is it like the Met Gala?
I was gonna say, is it like
You're looking
strike? I don't
striking.
know.
not
I
quite.
don't even
You
know what
are
the Met
looking
Gala is.
Actually-
striking.
It is talked about in TNG in, I should know the name of the episode, where Riker is in a play and it goes all crazy.
Oh yeah. that
Oh,
one
good.
Where he's
Yeah,
Frame
it's
of
one
mind.
word. Oh,
Frame of
frame
mind.
frame of
Yes.
mind.
Frame of mind,
Yes,
yes. And
yes.
it's a conversation between Crusher and Riker, and they talk about it, what that
Oh.
concept is.
Mhm.
There you
it
go.
looks like Valk. No, Valk says handsome.
I don't know,
Chris
but I like
Chris
Chris's
Gavin
answer.
looks
Yep.
like is the closest a lamp. Yeah, basically if somebody
Don't
kink
kink
shame.
shame Nana.
yeah, it's basically if you are lighting a light, because set lights can be very bright, and I'm sure many actors that in the past have said, oh, you turn on the, let me know. So what people do is right before they turn on a bright light, they say striking, and so to kind of avert your eyes so you don't get blinded
Then it
by
is
it or
different
something
in
like that.
theater.
It
It's
is different in the theater. Kathy
Oh,
D
right,
got it
striking
right
is
in
to
the
take
thing.
it down.
Is
Yeah.
to take
to
it
take it down.
down. That's
That's
what
what
I
I
was
said.
thinking.
Set
What's this?
strike.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm, that's a
And
good
that's
point.
what's
Back it
talked
up.
about in TNG. Like that's what they
They
talk
say
about.
striking the set. Yeah.
Oh, I can't
Mhm.
see back
I
on.
didn't know that they did
that.
it for lighting though.
Yeah, if you're on a movie or TV set and you hear it's going to be a gaffer or grip's going to say
Yeah.
striking, and you have like half a second to go like this. But a lot of times they're so used to it that they just say it at the same time as they're doing it. You're like, okay, thanks, bro.
That's a great question. If you ever interview anybody from Star Trek Picard, because that set was so dark that I wondered.
They never heard that word
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Nikki.
once. Didn't happen.
There you go. If you ever interview anybody from the show, I'm super curious now.
That's hilarious. I love that. That is funny. Okay, so what's next on here? Let's get a little bit more into this information, because there's some good news on the horizon with regards to this.
Mhm.
Mohammed, what is the good news?
The good news is unlikely to impact Strange New Worlds Season 3, according to the article. The WGA strike does apply to writers working on live-action Star Trek projects. Current active projects officially include the 2 series Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy and the Section 31 TV movie. As of today, no new writing for any of these shows can be done until a new contract is negotiated. A number of Star Trek writers have taken to social media to show their support for the strike and the WGA, like Strange New Worlds co-showrunner Henry Alonzo Myers. The strike will have no impact on the upcoming second season of Strange New Worlds, which wrapped up production last year and is set to debut on June 15th. The strike won't necessarily affect the recently announced third season of the show, expected to go into production this summer, as writing began much earlier, and it's quite possible most, if not all, 10 scripts for the season have been completed. Strange New Worlds is produced in Canada, so there probably won't be any picketing at the studio. WGA members who are also producers can continue to work on shows in that capacity. Modern Star Trek shows often have writer-producers on set to work with the cast and crew, so that can continue, although they would not be able to make any changes to any scripts. If this on-set flexibility is important to Paramount, they could delay production until the strike ends. Even though they may be voicing solidarity with the WGA, members of the cast would be expected to work during a strike if Paramount chose to start production anyway. The actors union SAG-AFTRA advised members to, quote, continue to work, unquote, on projects that were in production during the strike. The union suggested members could walk the picket lines to show their solidarity during non-working hours. Strange New Worlds star Anson Mount showed his solidarity on social media, saying he stands with the WGA.
Okay, there's way too much to unpack there. First and foremost, I think some of you in the live chat may have raised some eyebrows when we realized that Strange New Worlds is shot in Canada.
Oh, how did they not know that? I knew that.
No, but I mean, so how does that work if this is, we're talking about an American Writers Union? If this is shot in Canada, does that make it a Canadian production that is not affected by this? Apparently no, because, you know, these are still USA based productions. The writers, the producers, you know, they're based in LA or wherever. So it's being shot in Canada, because then otherwise all of these shows that are shot in Toronto or in British Columbia, like Robbie Duncan McNeil's show, what is it, Mohammed?
Always in Vancouver.
Resident Alien.
Yes, that's a great show.
Yeah.
So
I thought also that like Starsky and Hutch one. I don't know. Was that one there too?
I don't know. Maybe.
Or not, whatever. No, sorry, whatever that dog one is.
Oh, Turner and Hooch.
Turner and Hooch.
Yeah. Their pair of names.
Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch. I believe it was Hardcastle and McCormick was the one you were thinking of.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Oh yeah.
I love that show.
My other
Nikki
favorite
is regretting
fandom.
this right now.
No, I'm not. Actually, I was gonna say my other favorite fandom, which is the X-Files, which you can see I have a belief thing.
Yeah.
That was also filmed in Vancouver. So like same situation. And most of the time it's for people that don't understand production, it's almost like they're paying the country of Canada to use their production facilities, right? Mostly because it's more cost effective. I think it's actually cheaper. So all of like pre-production, writing, all that stuff is done here primarily, and then the actual filming is done in Canada. And I'm pretty sure there's rules where you have to have so many Canadian production people, right, that work on the set, and things like that. But that's kind of how that works, from my understanding.
They're essentially renting out space to use
renting
from
out space.
Canada.
Yeah.
So the other part of what Mohammed so beautifully read for us, by the way, beautiful reading voice, Mohammed. Thank goodness for that.
Okay.
It's really interesting because in television, writers are also producers. In film, writers are basically treated like dog meat, right? And meat is a euphemism, because when somebody writes a film script, basically generally a studio, they buy it and they tell them to get the out of here. And that's it. You can visit the set for like 1 hour on one day. Nobody cares who you are. Nobody likes you. You're not welcome, But in television, it's an ongoing thing. You are a very important cog to this thing because you are now writing the next episode and the next one and the next season and so on. And so writers are also producers when it comes to television. And when a writer in the writer's room is tasked with writing a specific episode, let's say Robert Hewitt Wolf is writing episode 7 of Deep Space Nine season 3, right? So they're all in the writer's room and they say, okay, Wolfie, you got episode 7 or whatever, right? Anne-Marie's smiling because she could totally hear Ira saying that.
Yeah.
You got episode 7. Okay, so he's going to write that one. They've all contributed to it, but he's going to write that one. And then I don't know exactly the ins and outs of specifically Deep Space Nine, but the way shows generally work is that he's also going to be a producer of that episode. So he's going to be on set that day, that week when they're shooting it, or he's going to at least be on call. He's going to be the person that they call with questions or with changes. They're really, they've got their fingers in every little aspect of that particular episode a lot of times. So the question is, if these writers have a writer's strike and they've already written these episodes, but now they are producing them, now they're filming them, that writer is needed on set as a producer, right? So what they're saying here is that that writer can still be on set as a producer to help this thing being shot, because right now they're just wearing their producer hat. They're not a writer, they're just a producer.
Right.
But there can't be any rewrites. Right. So if there's an issue, if the director doesn't like something, if an actor says, what about if we change? They'll be like, sorry, I'm not changing anything and you can't change anything. So that can kind of tie your hands behind your back. I don't know how much they do rewrites. Yeah. Doesn't seem like they do it too often, but it would be a concern.
Well, from this, so I've seen some of the, and these were for like TNG scripts, right? So I've seen some of the TNG scripts. And sometimes there are multiple drafts. Now, I don't know if that's all done prior to production or if like a good portion of it's before production and then some of it's during production. But like you said, and it probably depends on show to show to show as to how much input the actor has, how much input the director has, how much input somebody else has, one of the producers, anything, right? To be able to change something. So the fact that they can't change anything as the way it is right now, I think that ties a lot of people's hands behind their back. Like
it really does.
As an actor, I think I would be frustrated because it's like, but I just want to like flip the line. So it sounds, you can't do that.
DLP, Lovey, DLP.
Yep, that's it.
So it'll be interesting to see if they continue on with production. And then here's a question. I don't know if this is later in the article, but this is a question. So what about editing though? Like anything that's in post. So it's been filmed. What if you edit it and it's slightly different than the script of what was written?
I think that's fine. I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to misspeak, but editors are almost kind of like writers in their own way. They kind of, editors almost rewrite an episode. With the help of directors and producers and whomever, but they are not members of the WGA union. Right. They're not beholden to any of that. So,
do the TV writers get paid more since they have dual roles than movie writers?
Oh, that's a good question.
See, I don't know. They're such different animals. The answer is I don't know, but they're such different animals that, for example, if Steven Spielberg sells a movie, he's probably going to get a lot of money for it. So in that case, it would be way more. Now, some writers, they just get their film optioned, in which case they get like $5,000 to not sell it to anybody else for a year or something weird like that, right?
Yeah.
And writers, there are all these different tiers of how much people, get paid, writers assistants, not script supervisors, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, story editors, that's another title, and then there's producer, co-producer, there's executive producer, co-executive producer, and those are all writers. They're usually like writer and co-executive producer, writer and,
which
whatever
producers have their own guild,
right,
as well,
which is what they talked about in the article too, because that's who the Writers Guild is going up against.
Is the Producers Guild
or something like that?
I think they're just like a couple points to like refer people to. So on Twitter, like if you follow the Benson sisters, like especially Shauna and Julie, they're tweeting a ton where they actually
especially
will show,
those two.
yeah, especially well, it's because those two, they're so like intelligent, and they really like highlight the like actual truth and bullet points from the horse's mouth. And so they'll show like the different bullet points and what they like, what the guilds asked for, and what like they were told as, and why those two are so far apart. So like that's my favorite source of information right now. They're just amazing. And then the other thing that the article does highlight later, which was my immediate thought that kind of goes into our next article too, is what happens to Star Trek Legacy discussions if those are on the table, because they're probably freezing right now, which there's so much momentum for that, as we'll show with the petition. If this strike goes on a long time, like that could, like the momentum might not get as far as it would normally.
Okay, so also disclaimer here, everybody, something we should have said at the top. This is an article written by trekmovie.com.
Yeah.
It is in no way 100% factual. This is humans writing about things that are going behind the scenes, and what we are speculating on is based on what little we know as well. So do not consider this written in stone. Things always change, and things that were true 2 days ago may not be true today, or things that we thought were true a while ago may not be true now. And a lot of these things will come to light as the months go on, and some might not. The best we can do is just bring you as much information as we can, and how it affects you. And we're kind of getting to that. Let's get to the point on how this does affect everybody, the specific shows. So, Mohammed, if you can read this part for us on Starfleet Academy, because everybody's asking, what about Starfleet Academy? I'm dying to know.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. So the title is a depressing one. Pencils down for Starfleet.
I love it. I think that's so cute.
It is great.
Number 2 pencils.
There you go. So the other live action show will feel the impact of the strike. And again, as Ryan said, we don't really know about any of these, but this is all speculation based on what they know. The writer's room for the recently announced Star Trek Starfleet Academy series was still active, so that work will stop. Other development work could continue with WGA members working in their capacity as producers only. Production for the Academy show was set to start in Canada in early 2024, and they could potentially stick to that schedule by making up time after the strike ends, unless it drags on longer than the one in 2007. In the case of a prolonged strike, the production schedule would move back, which would likely push the release, although Paramount Plus has not yet set an official target anyway. Showing her solidarity and Trek nerdiness, Starfleet Academy writer and voice of Mariner in Lower Decks, Tawny Newsome, woo, shared a tweet from Deep Space Nine writer Robert Hewitt Wolf, also woo, who posted an image from the workers' rights themed DS9 episode Bar Association, also woo.
That's 2 names for Robert Hewitt Wolf.
Yeah, and the cutest part was
so
Eric
great.
Wolfe responded with, "We have nothing to lose but our chains."
Yes.
I
Nice.
love that.
Although there was depressing news in there, Mohammed, you were right about that. And Jenny R. Johnson would be happy about it, but production is set to start in Canada. So that makes it a little tougher for the actors out in LA trying to get roles in Starfleet Academy.
But they just audition out here and then fly them out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at like Discovery and Strange New Worlds and stuff like that, the absolute tip top cast is from anywhere, but pretty much everybody else is Toronto.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Although
pretty much
Yeah,
everybody.
see them all in Murdoch Mysteries, like Raven Dowda.
Love Raven.
The whole list.
Well, again, I think that's part of using like filming in Canada. It's kind of like, I know filming in the UK, right? Like you are kind of required to have so many of their citizens involved.
Right.
So that would make sense that you would have a lot of background or extras or smaller reoccurring cast members to be Canadian, right?
Mhm.
Well, that makes a lot of sense
Lisa?
too with that like prop house that they now have.
Mhm.
They reported a little bit ago that Paramount now owns a warehouse in Toronto, so that was like another clue that this Starfleet Academy show will be in the future if
Mhm.
they're
Yeah,
saving
but
and storing their props.
that entire warehouse was full of molten ice, I heard.
Not Labatt Blue.
Molson
Molson Ice, not Labatt Blue.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So a little bit more on
Oh.
individual productions. Yeah.
Melissa, were you gonna say something? Melissa, you said although, and then you never finished your thought there.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, although I did get casting notices for background work as an alien and an undisclosed thing, and you had to be willing to travel to Canada. So they do still cast
A little bit.
in LA too.
Good.
Yeah.
Good information.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Okay.
almost cast John Billingsley.
Are you gonna
and then he was like,
audition?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't get called back for
Yeah.
that.
It would
No.
be fun to have
That's gonna be a
Billingsley
goal
Emery.
now. Get Melissa on a Star Trek show.
I'd love that. That would be amazing.
I'll jump on this one. So it's got an unclear impact on the Section 31 movie. Another recently announced project is the Star Trek Section 31 TV movie event starring Michelle Yeoh, which has been in development since 2019, recently pivoting away from a series into a TV movie. Paramount is hoping to go into production later this year. Writer Craig Sweeney was part of the original writer's room set up back in 2020. For a film project to get a green light, it usually requires a completed script draft, especially so it can be budgeted based on set pieces and required visual effects. So it's likely other work on this project can continue during the strike. If the script needs rewrites or updates, that work would have to wait. However, due to Michelle Yeoh's busy schedule, Paramount will be highly motivated to keep their plan or risk losing the Academy Award-winning star. Whoa, that's big. If there's a delay, Michelle might be like, sorry, see ya, on to the next big thing.
Yeah, she's in high demand right now.
Also, we've got the Star Trek 4, quote,
Oh
4
my
feature
gosh.
film, which is really
Oh
the
my gosh.
14th.
I mean, would it be a
movie
week if
or
there
15th.
wasn't a Star Trek movie reference?
It's
Yeah.
every week. Unlike 2007, J.J. Abrams is not ready to go into production on a Star Trek movie. He has been touting the script for his 4th Trek feature film. No shit. But there is still no indication if or when Paramount Pictures will move ahead on the project, which has bigger issues to deal with than a writer's strike.
I love that last part.
And then lastly,
So will the Michelle Yeoh movie count as Star Trek 4?
that's the thing. Who
Well,
knows anymore?
But it's
We're
saying
just
it's a TV movie. Is that new? Is that like new
Yeah.
information?
I think it's.
I mean, I knew it went from a series to a movie, but I thought it was going to be like a feature film movie, not a TV movie. That's
That's
different.
true.
They're calling it like an experience instead of
An event.
TV movie, or something that doesn't have like a
Interesting.
negative connotation, but I don't think it's called an
They're
official.
like, what? It's an event. You'll have popcorn. You'll be on your couch. You'll have your little space heater. Your dog will be on your lap.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Goofy.
Oh,
you'll
but
like,
it's cool. I'm just telling you, I got lucky and I got to go to see Star Trek Picard on the big screen twice, and it was fun, and it was epic.
yeah, sounds it. So
Who doesn't want to see
lastly,
Michelle Yeoh on big screen?
and this is what a lot of people were worried about.
Mhm.
No developing new projects like Legacy. Meetings regarding new projects are disallowed until WGA's strike rules, which cover any new pitches for feature films or scripted television. While there wasn't any indication Paramount Plus was ready to move forward on the development of any new Trek shows, this would put a pause on any potential talks between Picard showrunner Terry Matalas and Paramount regarding a possible Star Trek Legacy spinoff. Okay, so that means they can't even pitch it. They can't talk about it. They can't meet about it. They can't develop it. It's just you hit the pause button completely on it. I mean, he can sit at home and develop, whatever ideas he has. He can think about it, take notes, write a Bible, do whatever he wants. But anything official is completely paused.
Yeah.
Sorry, Melissa.
Correct.
I thought that would elicit
That
a
is
bigger
kind of-
response.
It is kind of sad though, because there is such a huge momentum. That just means, so
Yes.
for everyone out there watching, that just means you have to continue, even during all, like, support the writers, right? Through the
Right.
writers' strike, but you have to continue to ask for it, right? As they've talked about, the fans are the ones that can continue to ask for it.
Correct.
And as long as it, like, don't let it die. I mean,
Mhm.
my hope is that, so as people saw, like, Picard hit like top 10 in streaming. It was like number 8 on IMDb's top television shows. It was number 2 on IMDb's sci-fi genre, right? Like, let's hope that there's talk for Emmy awards, right? Like, even if they get shortlisted, that's a big deal. Like, sci-fi movies don't get shortlisted for Emmys, let alone like get nominated, for television Emmys. It just is a weird thing because it usually falls under drama, right? So it's hard to break through that ceiling.
Save the drama
But-
for your mama, though.
I know, right? There are other awards, right? There's going to be other awards shows. There's other opportunities for other awards too. And then there's obviously all the like creative arts Emmys, which Star Trek has won in the past, and I'm sure will continue to win. But that, like, just keep the momentum going, right? Like, just because there's a pause officially on some things, don't you pause.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's a great transition for the next.
I was
news
just going to
topic.
say that is the
Oh.
I
perfect
just have like
segue.
one other thing to say to close this part out, which is really interesting. The fact that like the writers are so vocal, and unlike the 2007 strike or the 1988 strike, like I feel like we all know the writers, and the writers come on this show, and the
Yeah.
writers come on our Seventh Rule shows, and they're part of Virtual TrekCon, and they're all like interacting with us on Facebook and especially Twitter every day. And it's just like, in addition to the writing, they've also become like a huge sort of like brand ambassador, and they
Yeah,
are being
good point.
undervalued for that. And they do, in addition
Yeah,
to
they're like
writing,
part of
they
the
basically
PR team
spend all the
practically.
day.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we
They're some
know
of the
them
biggest
better than
PR
anybody
team.
else. So, and it continues way beyond when the show ends. So
Mhm.
I think it's really interesting to see how this unfolds now that they are like sort of personalities in their own right.
Well said,
Mhm.
Dr. Embry.
And
Great point.
if you follow Larry Nemechek, like because he's been covering Star Trek strikes for decades now, or writer strikes for decades, and how it
He's
affects
been
Star
causing them, you mean?
Trek. No,
So-
wait, is it correlated? No, no. So he did some really great coverage today on Trekland Tuesday with Larry, and
Oh,
if
cool.
you follow his YouTube channel, he'll be releasing more videos with his insights, which are just so fascinating. And he talks to different people who are involved in that, and a lot of like previous Enterprise writers are involved pretty highly, like David Goodman. I know he was on the news talking about it a few days ago. Yeah, so there's just, Larry's a really great person to turn to for coverage also.
Yeah, so that is Larry Nemechek's Trekland. You can find that on YouTube as well. Good friend of the show. Also,
Okay.
very quickly in the live chat, we see Lisa Mackey, who's also in Canada, Northeast Canada. Lisa, are you allowed to tell people what you auditioned for? Just what production you auditioned for recently? Go ahead and tell them in the live chat if you can, because that's pretty cool. So anyway, our segue. Muhammad's like, it's not a segue if it's 3 minutes later, bro.
Okay. Do I need to
I was thinking-
repeat the whole, like, even though there's an official pause on especially Star Trek Legacy, don't you pause as a fan?
Right.
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, wait.
Channel your inner Bejo
Yes.
Trimble.
Oh,
Channel your inner Bejo. Yeah.
So here's the thing, everybody. Let me take you back
Oh,
to
Aaron Waltby's here.
2019. Finally, we've been saying a bunch of crap just waiting for him to show up and give us real information.
Aaron.
Hello, Aaron Waltke in the live chat. We were just saying nice things about you, how people like yourself are such great brand ambassadors, and you're practically like voluntary PR, the voluntary PR wing of your respective shows, and not just helping out the shows by being, kind of a PR or like a mediator between the productions and the fans, but you're so good to the fans because you're giving the fans information. We're turning to you, and you're being so friendly and so fun and so informative in the business side of things, but also in the creative aspect, and it's great to know that you basically know everything about Star Trek ever. It's pretty crazy. I don't know how he does
It's
it, but
awesome.
anyway. Oh, and check it out. I'm wearing your favorite sweater, Star Trek Prodigy. I don't know if it's your favorite, but it's one of mine.
What are the chances?
All right. So we'll take you all the way back to 2019, everybody. And
the before
you'll
times.
recall, back when time made sense. You notice that ever
Right.
since 2019, time doesn't even make sense anymore.
No.
Did I already say that before?
Noticed.
I don't know. So this is change.org. It says CBS give us a pre-TOS Star Trek series with Captain Pike. Struggle is pointless. I don't know what that means.
That's a little funny.
And 30,000 people signed this thing. Let's get it to 35,000. There's still time. Apparently this worked.
Fast.
Apparently 30,068 people made this thing work, and everybody that shared it. And we got a Captain Pike series entitled Strange New Worlds. How is that relevant to today? Well, fast forward to the year 2023. Sounds like the future. Also on change.org, somebody started something called Make Star Trek Legacy with Terry Matalas as showrunner. And 44,631 people have signed this already. So the question is,
After
if
Terry Matalas
30,000
showed up on those guys' podcast. Yeah.
if 30,000 people signing got CBS to do the Pike show, is 44,000 enough to get Legacy? Now, were they already considering doing Pike? Who knows? Are they already considering doing Legacy? Who knows? Do they double every year where they're like, okay, 30,000 was enough this year, but next year it's got to be 60,000? I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this thing going to happen?
Well, there's another question too, is how much was it specifically the change.org thing versus other information they got from other sources at the same time, which we don't know. I mean, it could have been heavily that, it could have bbeen lightly that. It's an unknown piece, but
Or it could have been a marriage of the change.org plus the Twitter feed activity and all social media, not just change.org. But you would think that the increase in numbers and signatures would be enough to go, okay, so we did really great with the Pike show, and there's more people interested in this show, so let's maybe talk about this and see where
I'm
it goes.
gonna bring up something else which kind of addresses what a couple people said in the chat too. I know. So I think you're correct, Melissa. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, right? I think it is the petition because that's a very visible, easy numbers. Here it is. It's how many people clearly are saying yes. I think it is a lot of social media, right? Like how many people are hashtagging Star Trek Legacy. I think it also has to do with do the creatives want to do it? And obviously a lot of the creatives do. But I also think because we do have to be realistic, and this was addressed in the chat a little bit, Paramount is a business, right? It's a corporation and it's about making money a lot of the times. So
A lot of the times?
A lot of the time,
Always.
all the time, whatever, all the time. Yeah, let's just do it all the time, like whatever. But like in that sense, what makes money? People watching the show. So there were several people in the comments that said, oh, now that I've watched, I can just unsubscribe. Here's the thing though, you need to continue watching, right? So again, if we have stuff on pause right now, then you need to go back. Look, don't necessarily have to watch season 1 and 2 of Picard. Season 3 is by itself. That's how I feel about it, but whatever. Oh, you can watch season 1 and 2 of Picard, but I don't know. I just feel like with Legacy going on, if you're going to want Legacy, rewatch season 3 of Picard. You need those numbers to hit. And my understanding, I'm not entirely certain, but my understanding is it isn't just like per subscriber every time they've watched it. No, I think it is however many times it runs through. And I know that they have analytics on this. How many times does the episode run all the way through? How many times does somebody watch 5 minutes and then bails
They
out?
even know where people stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped watching.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, if you want, yes, please sign the petition. Yes, please continue doing all the social media. Yes, please make your voice known. Hey, go old school and literally physically write a letter and send it into Paramount. Why not? But also watch the episodes. Watch them. Watch the rest of Trek.
Which also helps the writers.
Yeah,
also helps the writers
watching the episodes, because it helps the writers get hired after.
You got to look at yourself as an investor. If you are investing your money into the subscription, if you're investing your time into watching this thing, you are going to get returns. You're going to get returns in new content. We're all very minor investors. Signing petitions is great, but like Nikki says, you gotta, I would not recommend canceling your Paramount Plus thing, because look, if everybody does that, Paramount Plus is going to have less money. Paramount Plus has less money. Guess what happens? Less Star Trek. That's it.
Because they don't have the funds for, not just for the writers to pay the writers, but everybody who is involved in production. It's a huge machine that goes into making a show, a film, anything, and that cancellation affects everyone involved.
I strongly suspect that a positive indicator is the success of Picard season 3 relative to, say, Discovery season 2. Which, Discovery season 2 did well. I think Picard season 3 did much better. I think. I mean, I haven't seen the numbers myself, but my impression is I don't remember things about records being broken and being in big lists when Discovery season 2 was out. That's clearly been the case for Discovery season 3. So I'm sorry, for Picard season 3.
My understanding is from what I've seen is that Picard season 3 literally broke a bunch of records, and maybe that's because they did bring back the legacy characters, right? That's probably a huge push as to why. I mean, it's very clear if you look at the ratings, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, if you look at IMDb, all those things that production people look at, industry people look at, all of that. There's a reason, the season 3, they've all been spiking, right? Even to the point that, again, because I'm an I Stand Beverly Crusher account, basically. I've looked at Gates McFadden's IMDb, her star meter, which is a thing in the industry for actors, it has peaked and it has spiked. I mean, she's jumped ahead a bunch of people, right? And it spiked on episode 3, which is a big episode.
Better not be ahead of Norman Fell. That's all I got to say.
I don't know. She was at 294 or something. It was a big deal.
Norman Fell was Mr. Roper on Three's
But
Company,
even the show
knows.
itself has picked up, and the 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, all of those things go into play. But yes, just watching. And again, if you don't want to watch Picard again, or you want to take a break, that's fine, but watch other Trek. Just watch more Trek.
Because the actors are still getting residuals from each watch that you do. So it still affects everyone, not just writers.
So Peter C. mentioned something interesting in the live chat that's relevant. He says Paramount just purchased the Star Trek Legacy domain name from a private fan for $5,500. So there's that. Not saying that means that they will certainly do it, but it does mean that, they're covering their bases in case they want to do that.
I'm intrigued by the fact too that Alex Kurtzman had talked quite a bit in interviews about potential Star Trek anthology series, and that could overlap with the ideas for Legacy.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Do you
I actually
think
like that idea?
That would? Do you think that they would just be one and the same then?
I can I mean, potentially. I think it probably means we will get another series somewhere in this universe. I just don't know.
I think it has the potential to either be the one and the same or separate, because you would have the continuation of the new, a spoiler alert, I'm so sorry, but it's now been, everything has aired. So spoiler alert, it would be the new Enterprise crew, right? Enterprise G crew, captained by Seven, with Raffi, Jack, Esmar, Sydney, Mira. I'm so sad that Tavine is gone. I'm telling you, I almost broke my television because I threw stuff at, I was getting ready to like throw my remote at my television. Like that could be a show in and of itself. You could then have legacy actors come in and do cameos, right? From any, I think of any of the series timeline wise that fit along that way. Or I think you could also have, and whether it's called Star Trek Legacy or it's called something else, you could have these anthology little series, kind of like how Star Wars is doing, where it focuses on one main character, right? Like, obviously the one I want to see is like, I want to see Crusher and Jack Crusher, like Dr. Crusher and Jack Crusher on the Ilios. What was happening? You don't have to go back 20 years, go back 5 years, right? Go back to the point when he goes into the bar in 10 Forward to ask Picard the question of, did you want a family or whatever? And Jack making that decision, no, I don't want to know my father, right? And back up into Star Trek season 3 of Star Trek Picard, right? Like how they were hunted, what was going on, right? You could also do how Geordi came to be a part of the Starfleet Museum, right? You could also have Raffi and Worf and all the intelligence stuff. Like there's so many options. And I think they did that on purpose, is to leave it open to a lot of options. I mean, that'd be smart writing on Terry Metalis' part, I'm sure, because I like to call him a genius, put a swear word in front of it, but I like to call him a genius. So I think there's a potential for a lot of different things. Obviously, the obvious name of some sort of next Trek is Star Trek Legacy.
Aaron Walke says the biggest thing for getting a show to succeed is watching it. So he agrees with Nikki too.
Especially to completion.
Yeah. So yeah.
And also
just turn
John
off
Lutton,
that setting and just let it run. Just let it run in the background. You don't have to watch it. You can just let it go in the background.
I like to watch it. Right. Also, John Lutton in the live chat says Mr. Roper was definitely DL gay. I think that tracks. I think it's not a stretch.
I mean, we could talk queer Trek all you want. If you want, I have a read on Jack Crusher. I think he's pan. That's just me. I'm pan. I think he's pan. Just me. He doesn't sit right in chairs. Just it's a queer thing.
Neither does
totally
Riker.
No.
Well, right.
Riker thinks it's a saddle.
Friends, Women at Warp. If you go listen to Women at Warp, they have a podcast about pan and bisexual, and they actually talk about how they think Riker is pan.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right? I wouldn't either.
So let's get up in this talk about Legacy just a little bit more from trekmovie.com. Mohammed, if you will. I think we covered most of it, but let's get the basic ins and outs here. If you would please, fans signing up for Legacy.
All right. On Monday, it's referring to trekmovie.com, posted an update with comments from executive producers Alex Kurtzman and Terry Metalis, explaining a Picard spinoff isn't currently in active development. But the two have been talking about it, as well as the fan reaction to season 3 of Picard. At that time, a petition calling for Legacy had just over 27,000 signatures. Just 2 days later, that number is approaching 32,000. And we just saw it's a lot higher than that now, surpassing the 2019 petition that called for more of Captain Pike and the USS Enterprise and gained traction after the second season of Star Trek Discovery. Later that year, Pike, Spock, Una, and the Enterprise appeared in short treks, and in 2020, Star Trek Strange New Worlds was officially announced, with the first season arriving in 2022. Of course, Strange New Worlds was given a green light for a number of reasons, including the active advocacy of executive producer Akiva Goldsman, who started pushing for a Pike show behind the scenes even before season 2 of Discovery. The show was also given its green light when Paramount was reaching its spending peak for original programming, but fan interest was certainly noticed. Ahead of the official announcement of Strange New Worlds, Alex Kurtzman acknowledged fans calling for the show with similar language as his current comment about hearing fans, quote, loud and clear, end quote, regarding Star Trek Legacy.
We definitely like that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron Waltke says he likes the advertisement to the right of the screen of the article.
There it is. Hang on.
Oh,
Let's
sure
pull that
enough.
back up. What?
There it is.
Ah,
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Nice.
Talk about
This is
targeted
a
ads.
Show.
nice.
Wow.
I mean, it is an awesome show. It's fair to show it there.
Your computer's listening to you. I'm like, hey, I like Star Trek Prodigy. And it's like, Prodigy, Prodigy, Prodigy.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks, computer. All right.
Google loves you.
So we talked about that quite a bit. I think we can move forward from the legacy talk, especially because just for fun, and I think John Lutton might enjoy this one. I could be wrong. This is just a guess. But this was found on Facebook.com.
Heard of that one.
And it's just a fun little meme that somebody posted recently. And it says, same energy. It's got Bert and Ernie and Tuvok and Neelix.
Nice.
Yep.
Agree or disagree?
Hard agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
basically the Odd Couple. If you go way,
I
way
was
back.
just thinking Oscar
Yeah.
and Felix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tuvok and Neelix. Oscar
Ah.
and Felix.
Well
Whoa.
Nice.
So that was very important, and I felt the need to show it to y'all there. Let's see. Okay, do you guys want to do a top 10 one? Because this one,
No,
it's
we're not ranking women against each other.
we're not, but GameRant.com
I don't even want to entertain this for the clicks.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's already been clicked on.
Stupid.
What do the rest of you think? It says the 10 most powerful women in Star Trek.
Is this character-wise or like production-wise?
I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know.
Okay. This will be
Character.
interesting.
Melissa,
I
have
have-
you checked it?
Mm-hmm. I saw it. And
what do you
it's
think?
Character. I don't agree with the list. So, but
Would
whatever
I be
you
upset
want.
with this list?
Oh, I know why you don't agree with this. See, Melissa found this list, and I just happened to take a peek at what the number 10 was. And I bet you that was where Melissa was like, that's it. I've
This is
already
like,
had it with this
uh-oh.
thing. I'm already-
Yes,
I'll just
that's
say
part of it. And
It had
then
number 10 as Kira Nerys. And that is the
Yeah.
one thing you don't want to do in front of
Ah.
Melissa is rank Kira 10th in anything.
I think
no,
Anne-Marie's
she's
point
not
was
10.
We don't need to rank women.
that's what I was going to say. I don't think
Anything is an
Anne-Marie was
issue.
talking about the ranking, but as much as the principle of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really support that.
I mean,
Like,
you can go there. You might as well. Now I'm just curious as to what this list is.
Well, yeah.
And if
I'm
I
just-
will also
it's
be
always
outraged.
more out of curiosity. I'm just like, oh, really?
I mean, I have a computer. I'm sitting at a computer. I could look it up.
Yeah, now I'm afraid to look
Okay.
at it. Melissa sent it in, but
Okay.
I'm too scared to look at it because Anne-Marie seems very angry about this.
I
So
think
we'll
it's a
just
good rule of thumb not to rank women. I think we might do
Really?
that. Yeah.
So I
we've
guess
read
my
rankings
question
on
is-
everything else.
There it is.
Starships,
I didn't.
series.
Yeah, that was
engineers.
my first thought when I
It
read it.
is-
I was just like, oh,
It does appear to be written by a woman.
that's what I thought. It
Based
was
on the
written
name,
by
that's a little,
woman.
it might not be, but based on the name.
Okay,
Um,
well, anyway, Mohammed, you have anything to say? Let's see if we can make this even weirder.
We're going with the
What do you
popcorn.
What have you got
No,
for
you
us?
don't have to read it at all.
Everybody at home, just go, if you like top 10 things. What?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but I'm not.
No,
really
all right,
sure.
I'm looking. You guys don't have to, but I'm gonna look. Let's see what's the big deal.
I wasn't happy with the list because my list would look totally different.
Well, how
But
about
that's what
this?
we say
Rather
about all
than-
these lists. Every single one of these lists we're not happy with.
How about instead of looking
that's
at the
weird.
list, why don't we ask people in the chat to just say who they found as the most inspiring woman in Star Trek? Just ask people
There
in chat.
you go.
Using the word inspiring.
There's a ranking for that too.
But we're not
They have
going to
rankings for
just
everything.
basically anybody who's inspired it's true, right? I mean, it's not. We're like, even if more people are inspired by one, that doesn't discount the one who was inspired by a different one. So
any ranking list is going to make people disgruntled because it's one person's opinion.
Right.
Yep, that's the whole point. All right, well, let's move on. We talked about it long enough. Everybody can go check it out. Feel free to Google top 10 Star Trek, and you're going to find all of them. There's a million of them, and we have a ton of them constantly. So anyway, oh man, but then we have to talk about Doctor Who for a second. I knew I was stalling for a reason.
Well, some of it's news. Apparently, Doctor Who's going to have an episode that uses a line from Star Trek Picard season 3 as the episode title, because like those two showrunners are really like flirting a lot on social media. So everybody's guessing who's like a fan of both. They're trying to guess like what the line will be, and some of the guesses are so funny, like sexy in the street or good at pizza. Wait, what is it? Bad at pizza, good in
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or do you even hear yourself?
Yeah, that's one. Or like, let's make it a threesome. There's a really good
Oh
one.
yeah. And I'll go along to make it a threesome. Do you hear yourself right now?
Yeah. But I mean, so that's all this news is. But it is fun when the like two oldest, like most expansive franchises flirt with each other.
Well, and I will say this is probably when I should jump in for Doctor Who. I mean, I should have jumped in with the female doctor, which I probably will, but because it will be a queer doctor, and it'll actually be a person of color, which is exciting. But I love the actor. The actor was in Sex Education.
Oh my gosh, he was amazing in that.
Yeah.
He's so good.
That'll be exciting. There is a lot of like, so for anyone who's gone to Gallifrey 1, which is the big Doctor Who convention in Los Angeles, and like people from all over go, there's always like a group of Trekkies hanging around, because there's a lot of like, not that necessarily there's crossover in the shows, but there's
crossover fans.
Yeah, crossover fans. I mean, I know that they've done comic books where they've crossed over and things like that. So it's kind of exciting that there will be an Easter egg from Picard, which will be exciting. Now I'm going to watch just to find out what it is.
I was just going to ask that. All right, everybody in the live chat, is this going to make you any more likely to watch Doctor Who? I will submit that for me, no. For me, it's still going to be a no. Even if they put 15 lines from Picard in there, I still wouldn't watch it. But let us know in the live chat what you think.
Special guest as Picard.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Regardless of any special, I mean, it's just doesn't.
I mean, they could use Ed Spaliers. He is a British actor.
Yeah.
For a British show.
Didn't Christina Chong already cross
She wasn't.
over?
She wasn't Doctor Who.
She's
You're right.
in my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I feel like Doctor Who writers talking to Star Trek writers makes me even more excited as like a relatively new Doctor Who fan, and makes me like really excited for this upcoming thing, just because there's so much like inter-franchise talk.
Mochi's getting a lot of love in the chat.
Yay, Mochi.
Gotta love Mochi.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what's next here, because I don't have anything to say about Doctor Who. So if you guys don't either, we are moving on. Actually, let's find out. Everybody in the live chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like Doctor Who? 10 being a huge fan, 1 being you don't watch it. Actually, that's a 0. Should be a 0. 0 to 10.
Wow, he answered. Love it.
All right. Oh, there's another rankings thing that Melissa sent in, but I guess we'll skip
Did
that
I?
one. Yeah. It's a pretty interesting one. It's from StarTrek.com, but we'll let everybody go check that one out later. StarTrek.com has it says Star Trek's most successful imposters. It's an interesting one. I always wonder how they come up with new rankings. Like if they feel like they run out of ideas, they go, okay, we've done engineers, we've done captains, we've done Halloween episodes. What is there? So that's a really interesting one. Imposters.
Yeah, that one piqued my interest. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right. And next, Anne Marie, I think you know the most about this one. This is a Deadline article here.
I do not even pretend to know that much about this because I don't really know anything about VR. I know what the article says.
What's OTOY?
Oh, I tried to look that up. So it's the company that does what is it? But I'm trying to find out what it actually stands for. So last year, Vegas, I went to this panel. It was very cool and hard to explain to people because you kind of had to be there in what Roddenberry is doing, right? With this it's almost like it is like a VR experience, but it's this like archive of stuff. And the few videos that I've seen so far, like the raising of the Enterprise D saucer section was extremely cool that they've released so far. But I believe, I don't know what OTOY actually stands for, but it's definitely
on the other yard.
Like the company.
Yeah, I was thinking like over Tasha, over Yar.
Oh yeah,
like
there you go. In the chat, what does that stand for? OTOY, what does it stand for? Come up with stuff.
Some kind of, it's got to be an acronym. I can't imagine it's anything else.
Like when you click through the thing, because they have like all the enterprises and you could go on the bridges and like look around 360. And I've like heard a bunch of interviews over the years, like Doug Drexler will go on like Larry's Portal 47 to talk about this. And like, I'm a little confused by it. Like, I guess when you look at it you can look at it on computers, it's really cool. But I think if you have like an Oculus, I'm not sure if that part is up and running or not, or if that part is still in development. So that you can actually like be standing on it, or at least that's the end goal. And then so I don't know, like, I just don't know anything about VR.
They did that in Vegas.
That was like,
but it was interacting with people from all over the world. And it was set up with Gene Roddenberry. It was Aaron's last convention, but we did the VR thing, and it was pretty rad. You were actually on the bridge and interacting with different aliens on the bridge, and it was pretty cool.
Have any of you played Star Trek Bridge Crew, which is on the VR? It's actually really cool, where like you can get 4 people and you're essentially like, you're just on the crew and you're at, tactical, or you're at navigation, or you're the captain, or you're and like you have all the controls and you're doing stuff. You can look over at the other person and stuff like that and see what they're doing. It's amazing. It's like being in there, which I mean, this I'm assuming is different, because I think this is more like you guys were saying, is it's more focused on looking around the bridge. And I heard that the detail on this was even like much higher level than even on Star Trek Bridge Crew, which is a fantastic game, by the way. But
they do have, so if you go on to, it's home.otoy.com.
And it still doesn't explain it. Yeah, you found the website. We checked, and you look at about, like it's still, even in the about section, it's all just OTOY.
But the article does talk about like how the Roddenberry Archive is bringing every iteration of Star Trek's USS Enterprise bridge to life. So, because I think that's the end goal is to have almost like a VR experience where you can be on maybe any of the bridges, maybe. I don't know how many they're gonna do.
Oh my God. You can turn into a Barclay and like live there.
In the panel, they talked about the potential to even have it be where you could pull up a scene from an episode, right? Ooh. Like they talked about that, which was very interesting. And I forget, because this was almost over a year ago, but I forget if that's also part of Majel recording all of the dialogue and all the things that she did, so that way they have that access.
There's like a lot of things linked. So when you go to this website where all the enterprise things are listed, so if you follow Darren Doctorman, he's one of the people who works on this, and he said there was an Easter egg if you went to a different tab, like the About Us, and when you go to the different tabs, Majel's voice reads it to you, which is a very fun part of the website. But yeah, it's so interesting, and it seems like it's a very futuristic like end game in mind, that's why it's like a little bit hard to follow. But I mean, Deadline reporting it is pretty major, and then it also that news came out with sort of like a TNG set design 20-minute documentary, which was fascinating, and it like interviewed Darren Doctorman, the Akutas, like people like that. Terry Metalis has tons of information also about like recreating the bridge, so highly recommend that.
Yeah, I love that the creatives from Picard have been releasing those behind the scenes photos. I'm a huge like behind the scenes production person, and so having Liz and Dave Blass and part of the rest of Doug Drexler, I don't know if he's released, but I know Dave definitely has, and Liz has, where they've released a lot of the images and photos, especially like when they were trying to find the carpet, like the exact right carpet that they were trying to search for.
Or, oh my God, the wood panels.
Yeah, like banging on the plant. And then even like there's a picture that she released that she put on her Instagram, and she released it to Twitter as well, where it's like, please don't stand on the carpet, or like don't spill the like whatever. It was hilarious.
Amazing.
So specific. But it's almost sad that they didn't have anything from the 90s, from the 80s, from the 90s. Like all that stuff was, my understanding is like when they striked the set, when they tore down the set,
amazing, Nikki,
that they like pitched, they like threw it away. They like, it was like in dumpsters and stuff. And then it's like, where were the schematics? Where was everything? But thank God that they brought back the Akutas and brought in Doug Drexler and some of the other people that used to work on TNG, because that's how they were able to like that. I mean, it's just impressive, like all the photos that they had to search through, and for like 2-3 days of filming. That's it. They built the whole thing for like 2-3 days of filming. A lot.
Wow. Well, we're just about done with our show for the day, but I think, Mohammed, do you have any trivia for us before we go?
Yeah, mine's gonna
You
be a
didn't
quick
say
one.
if you had anything prepared yet, but did you?
This is a quick one. So we know, of course, the famous registry number for the Enterprise being NCC 1701. What was it for the USS Excelsior? The USS Excelsior's registry number.
Nikki's face said it, the same thing we were all thinking. What?
It's not as hard as it
Crap,
sounds.
am I gonna know that?
People will know.
Yeah, it's not as hard as it sounds. Somebody's gonna get it.
I don't know
It should be multiple choice.
Right? Yeah.
So let's
So you can guess
well,
whether it's
that,
higher
like,
or lower based on
Excelsior
how
got
new
blown
it is.
up. Like,
Well, people have already gotten in the chat.
Oh.
wow.
they,
Well, while
yeah, they
everybody's
did.
typing that in and making their guesses, God, how do you guys know everything? It's insane.
No.
So
Yeah.
impressive. So let's talk about the week very quickly. Yesterday on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel, we released our full review of 11001001, of course, with Denise Crosby, of course, and Sirach Lofton and myself talking about that full episode. My favorite question in the live chat, I did a poll, which was, who was your favorite binar? 110010 or 01? I believe 001 that one, obviously.
Yeah.
I just have to say that was a really great discussion. I've listened to it 3 times now. It was so good, and it kind of ties in with the writer's strike, actually, since like one of the like caveats on the writer's strike is about ChatGPT, and you guys talked a lot about like AI. So can't recommend that review enough. So amazing.
And thank you. Then on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, that's tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time, meteorologist Katie and actor Darth Shuey join myself and Dr. Noor over here on the Falling Tower YouTube channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Of course, we are doing our review of Andor on Disney Plus. Now, remember, this is fantasy month. Fantasy and or science fantasy. So, but the rest of the month is going to be
Got
fantasy
that.
month. So check that out.
Andor.
Thank you.
Right.
Then on Friday, come right back to this channel. We have Star Trek and Chill live
Are we
at 5
going
p.m.
dark
Pacific.
for May 4th?
I think we might.
Ooh.
We're going to have something on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel. We just don't know what yet. We are Sith Lords, so this is a day of darkness for us. Right back here on Friday, remember 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time for Star Trek and Chill. Tons of fun. It's going to be maybe too much fun. So if you're not into fun, don't show up. And then on Sunday, on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time, we've got on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel, oh man, this is a good one, Heart of Glory, Next Generation episode with Denise, myself, Sirach, and a very special guest. We'll just give it away since Nikki's asking.
Cardiologist.
It is Vaughn Armstrong in his very first Star Trek appearance. So check that out. That is this coming Sunday.
Even more exciting than the cardiologist.
Although he has played a Cardassian.
And
so
also the
that's
episode is called Heart of Glory.
That's why I said it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought
very nice.
like sorry, it cut out.
No,
And
it's
then
good.
you're
It's all
saying you
good.
went to the cardiologist, and then all I could think was, oh my God, I hope Mohammed's okay.
No, I did not go to a cardiologist. I'm fine.
Mohammed's going to outlive all of us. Book it. So what's the answer, Mohammed? Looks like everybody got it except us.
Like there's two potential right answers, and people got either one. It could be NX 2000 or NCC 2000, depending on which version of the USS Excelsior. But good job, guys. Like I said, it was an easy one because it's kind of a round number there, but lots of people. I saw Jenny Johnson. I forget who else got it. A lot of people got it in there. John Ludden, Peter C., Robert Kaiser, Matt Boardman. A lot of people got it in there. So good job, y'all.
Excellent work, everybody. That's about it for us. Nikki, can you tell everybody where they can find you online before we go?
Yeah, absolutely. So my personal socials are Nikki Repass, NIKIREPASS. That's both Twitter and Instagram. And then also Lambda Quadrant at Lambda Quadrant everywhere. And Sunday, after you're done watching Seventh Rule, if you are open for some more fun on Sunday, May 7th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Lambda Quadrant is doing a live stream. It's always a fun time. Sometimes we have discussions. Sometimes we play games. We like to do some of the jackpot games, but we play Star Trek style where we take like Quiplash, which is the basic game, and you have a regular prompt, but we have to answer with a Star Trek answer. So we make it a little bit more challenging. And I'm sure we will talk more about like what's coming up for Lambda Quadrant at that time. So we are excited about that. And as always, thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun, and we always love collaborating with everyone from Seventh Rule and Virtual TrekCon. And so thank you, everyone. Yay, love it.
Thanks so much. Melissa, where can people find you online, by the way, and your cat or parrot?
At Melissa, MALISSALONGO on social media and the introvertedrepublic.com.
LONGO.
I was just thinking that too somehow from the way Melissa said it.
The way she said it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we used to sing that instead of bingo. We would say our last name.
Don't you have something new popping up, Melissa, before we go?
Yes, a new Patreon page where I've released the first chapter of a story that I've been writing. And not just the story, there's going to be illustrations that go along with it. And down the line, there will be some animation and some other things too. So
awesome. Yeah. So look forward to that, everybody.
Great first chapter for sure.
What about you, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel? Where can people find you online?
Just Twitter at Anne-Marie Siegel 1.
All right, but I see you active everywhere,
Well,
especially LinkedIn. And Dr. Noor, yourself?
Academia.edu. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's not right. I get these weird emails from them. I don't even know what that is, but I get these weird emails from them always asking me to
That's
join.
all academia everywhere.
Yeah, there you go. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Mastodon, all those things at MAF like Frank and like November OOR, or YouTube as Biotrekkie, BIOTREKKIE.
Awesome. And everybody, you can find me at Ryan TG Husk on Twitter. That's at Ryan TG Husk, or Virtual TrekCon Falling Tower, or The Seventh Rule on your favorite social media and YouTube. That's about it for all of us, everybody. Nikki, so much fun. Can't wait to have you again. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Great stuff. That's it. Everybody at home, now you have that song stuck in your head. LONGO. And remember, if you're looking for top 10 lists, no, don't put it on the main viewer, but you're back for. You're looking on writer strike information that we're just kind of guessing about. Put it on the main viewer. That's it.